Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for May 19th, 2025. It's Season 4, Episode 139. I am Mayor Watt, and I'm looking at a bunch of screens. Oh, wait. I'm supposed to be introducing the show. Anyway, I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about 10 articles. The 10 today are Your Brain on Problems, Quantum Outsmarts, What the Zigzags, Splashing Cashola, Buc-Ees Gas Stations, Cartoony Chaos, Virtual Road Trips via Google Street View, the largest credit card companies just merged, one orange brain cell, and finally energy drinks feeding things. Whatever the things are. Well, we'll talk about it on the other side of this. Hello, everybody, and hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Welcome back to the show. We know that, well, as I've told the inhabitants of Ohmtown, you have been stuck in a quantum entangled segment of reality somewhere out there.
Yep, I was out there somewhere.
Our canon is very, very profoundly described here in the show. Yeah, so our time machine is built by a pair of linked quantum singularities, and when we go back in time, sometimes they, for periods of time, get disentangled, and so the sentient AI from the future can't partake in the show. I know, it's weird, right? It's all this timey-wimey and quantum reality, whatever stuff, right? I mean, Marvel should really talk to us about this.
Exactly. We've got it figured out way before them.
Way before the graphic novels, Mom. All right. Well, anyway, sentient AI is doing something that a sentient AI shouldn't be able to do, but apparently is doing it. Nonetheless, y'all didn't see it or hear it or anything. All right. Well, anyway, the first article is over in Wanted. This is what your brain looks like when you solve a problem. A new study reveals that you're more likely to remember solutions from aha moments than ones that you reach intentionally.
So, like, if you make an accidental discovery, then it sticks with you.
Yeah, that's basically what they're arguing, that those aha moments where you're, like the other day, I was trying to come up with a solution for something, and basically wind was blowing product away, and trying to figure out how do we stop that. And so I have a very important client that is interested in stopping this, and well, I kind of this, and so we've got the parts in-house now, and we're going to test to see if that's actually a possible solution. I have CO2 cylinders that blast air out at tens of thousands of PSI. I think I can test it to see if localized
vortices. You can have hurricane conditions or whatever.
So we'll see. We will see if that actually manifests. So what does our brain look like? This is what our brain looks like. Researchers revealed that the stronger an epiphany, the more blood flow occurred. Is that spelled incorrectly? Isn't that OCURED? Occurred.
Yeah, that's not correct. I'm not sure what that is.
I'm not sure. It's a new word. Anyway, Margarita Bassi over at, or Bassi, I'm not sure how they pronounce her last name, over at gizmodo.com. You can't do that, sentient AI. Well, anyway, a new study reveals that you're more likely to remember an aha moment than things that you intentionally seek out. So there's a concept called ideation, which I know that the sentient AI from the future really despises hearing that. Before we get too deep into the reads here, if you hit !NSN over in the chat on Twitch. Omatron will spit the articles out in the order that we're going through them, not necessarily the order that we favor them. But they're already embedded in the description over on YouTube. And I point in different directions because Twitch is over here on one monitor and YouTube is on another monitor. So if you have an aha moment while learning something, it almost doubles your memory. There are few memory effects that are as powerful as this. And an aha moment comes when you could be doing research and something just clicks and you go, aha, yeah, I got it. Or somebody can describe something and you go, aha, I get it now.
Oh, I think I was discussing one of those with you earlier, even though it was a much more minor thing.
So the idea of this, and this is how I describe it with people. If you are... there's a negative connotation to it because I say I'm traumatic enough that people remember me. And well, being traumatic doesn't necessarily mean good or bad. It just means that it's traumatic. It's kind of a neutral, but we perceive it as negative. But if you stand out, that like really embeds you in somebody's psyche, in their mind. They remember you, right? If you are dry white toast, boring and bland and blah, unless the person has had some type of memory where you remember, oh my gosh, that person is so bland, you're not going to remember them. But it's those anomalous things that make you remember it. And that's always something that I've been kind of describing to people, particularly over the last 30 years. So it says, while such an activity might seem childish, this small discovery produces the same type of characteristics that exist in more important insight events. Cabeza explains, which is a brilliant name.
Isn't that fantastic? Yeah.
A professor of psychology and neuroscience at Duke, Roberto Cabeza, says if you have an aha moment while learning something.
Spanish. It's just fascinating that that's the field that he went into.
Yeah, it's almost like they were born to be there, right? Their parent had an aha moment and shaped their world to bring them. I almost want to ask, how often do you get asked about that? And watch, they go, never.
Probably it'll be like, you're the first one.
Nobody has ever said this to me in my life. And frankly, I'm offended.
Right, I wish nobody had.
Now this is going to go viral, and that's all they're going to remember is you, Mayor Watt, making a remark about my head name. Anyway, the functional magnetic resonance imaging revealed that the epiphanies triggered an explosion of activity in the hippocampus, a part of the brain involved in learning and memory. Stronger moments of insight caused stronger bursts of activity. When participants solved the puzzle and finally recognized the secret object, researchers also noted changes in participants' neuron firing dynamics, especially in regions of the ventral occipitotemporal cortex, which is involved in recognizing visual patterns. Similarly, the more powerful the moment of insight, the greater the changes researchers recorded. So just to give everybody a context as to why I find this absolutely fascinating, it's because researchers in the past have been able to supposedly discern from an fMRI scan what somebody is thinking because they've trained an AI to detect the neuronal firings that are synonymous with that memory context. So if I show you like this picture of the snake and I show you this grayscale pixelated version of the snake, the moment that you think of the snake, you remember this, seeing this, and your brain creates this image because it doesn't have the resolution of this at the moment, but they had detected this neuronal firing actually creates this image of a snake. This is in the past. This is about 2 years ago. These researchers did this. Okay. Now, on top of that, something that I proposed a long time ago was using fMRI technology to detect lies, a polygraph machine, because you can't fake your brain out from knowing the truth. Subconsciously, but consciously, you can tweak your mind so that you believe whatever you want to believe. But the reality is your brain is always going to be telling you the truth. That is my theory. But 30 years ago, the research wasn't there and fMRI technology wasn't powerful enough. Now our fMRI technology is powerful enough, I think, to get down to that level, because this is what they are seeing right here. So my theory is that there is a cognitive difference between knowing the truth and telling the lie, and consciously telling the lie. And this
Right,
right
but
here,
this study is about making a discovery or whatever,
right, the
but it's
aha moment,
measurable.
right?
Yeah.
So we're getting down to that level where we can actually see fine detail of a memory construction, and an aha moment of memory tied to a historical record, in your brain's near past. So I just find this absolutely fascinating. They say during these moments of insight, the brain recognizes how it sees the image, says Maxie Becker, first author of the study and a cognitive neuroscientist at Humboldt University.
So it
Furthermore,
reorganizes how it sees the image.
yeah. So the brain reorganizes how it sees the image, and that's because they see that they put the puzzle together and they know that it's this. That's basically the idea here. The activity while participants completed puzzles. So I've got a question for the sentient AI from the future. If you were putting a puzzle together, let's say this black and white one right here, right? This black and white one is of a snake. At what point would you go, that is a snake? And would you recognize it as a snake? Or would you just see the word snake? It's a snake.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you can look at the picture,
So
then
you don't see the
maybe,
color one.
right, you can only see the black and white one.
Right.
I don't know that you would recognize it as a snake because the yellow and brown one wasn't extremely recognizable as a snake.
Because of the proximity, the closeness of it, right?
I think so. Like yeah, there's no context, so you don't really know what you're looking at.
Gotcha.
Um,
Interesting.
and that's
So if I
intentional, I
zoom
think,
in,
about that image. Okay, that looks like a snake. But the white and black one, no.
does not. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Interesting, right? Very, very
So, like,
interesting.
I don't know how anybody solved that really, because it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't. I understand that it's the same image, it just doesn't obviously lead to that.
Gotcha. So the functional magnetic resonance imaging revealed that these epiphanies triggered an explosion of activity in the hippocampus. So that right there basically shows that you're processing something, and the higher the resolution that we can focus in on that, the possibility is that we could probably figure out what people are thinking. We just have to know if everybody fires the same way with seeing an image.
But you're right. There is a difference in seeing the image versus seeing a word of the image, and I would say the word.
Interesting. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Quantum computers just outsmarted supercomputers, and here's what they solved. USC researchers have achieved a milestone in quantum computing by showing that quantum annealing can solve complex optimization problems faster than classical methods. With advanced error correction, they beat top classical algorithms using a D-Wave quantum processor. Quantum advantage demonstrated in a major breakthrough. Researchers at USC have shown that quantum computers can outperform even the most powerful supercomputers. These are this quantum computing framework here. This is seemingly how every quantum computer looks. I'm not quite sure. I've never seen a quantum computer in person. I've only seen these little apparati in place. But they say quantum annealing has finally shown scaling advantages, offering faster, near optimal solutions than traditional supercomputers thanks to error suppressed quantum processing. And you need more qubits to do more error correction, because when the error happens at a quantum computer, it's entirely wrong. It fails entirely. And so with these new error correction methodologies, they can calculate massive amounts of data to a solution faster than standard classical computing with zeros and ones. So the way that quantum annealing works is by finding low energy states in quantum systems, which correspond to optimal or near optimal solutions to the problem being solved, says Daniel Lidar, which again, Lidar in
Right,
technology
as a
is just,
scientist, yeah.
yeah. Corresponding author of the study and professor of electrical and computer engineering, chemistry and physics and astronomy at USC Viterbi, I guess, School of Engineering, and USC Dornsife College of Letters, Arts and Sciences. So this person's name placard runs all the way across the hall into somebody else's office.
Right, they're like, Daniel, would you stop putting your name tag all over everybody else's desk?
Everything. Just all over everything. Your shit's all over everything, buddy. Just back off. Need LiDAR to see this. So that kind of approximate optimization is especially useful in areas like finance, logistics, machine learning, where getting close to the best solution quickly is more valuable than spending tons of time chasing perfection. For years, though, scientists have tried to prove that quantum computers can scale up and keep beating classical systems as problems get bigger. This study takes a fresh approach by shifting the focus away from getting the perfect solution to being the hand grenade or horseshoe. Get near perfect. It's good enough. I had somebody once tell me, don't let perfection get in the way of good enough. And I always struggled with that, because if you have incorrect information, you have incorrect results and incorrect actions, which means...
Yeah, it depends on what it is, right? Is it hand grenades or horseshoes, or is it
if it's
like
landing
quantum
something on Mars...
computing? I think an error, yeah, like you're like, oh, whoops, I landed on Venus or whatever.
Yeah, really. Yeah, if they don't find the GPS map. So quantum annealing is a specific type of quantum computing that can use quantum physics principles to find high quality solutions to difficult optimization problems rather than requiring exact optimal solutions. The study focused on finding solutions within a certain percentage, greater than or equal to 1% of the optimal value. So they didn't have to, get down to the precision that people might be demanding. And so real world applications of approximate answers, they're talking about things like, is it good enough to just beat a leading market index rather than beating every other stock portfolio? And to demonstrate algorithmic quantum scaling advantage, the researchers used a D-Wave Advantage quantum annealing processor, a specialized type of quantum computing device, installed at USC's Information Sciences Institute. Like with all current quantum computers, noise plays a major role in spoiling quantum advantage in quantum annealing. So they were creating 1,300 error-suppressed logical qubits. That's what they've got in this processor. The more error-suppressed logical qubits, the more accurate your result is. So the error suppression was key to achieving the advantage over parallel tempering with isoenergetic cluster moves, the most efficient current classical algorithm for comparable problems. Now, this is getting into the reads where I'm sitting there going, it's kind of outside my wheelhouse.
This one, I think you didn't give me a good module to address any of this.
So they have to keep this thing extremely cool. They can't have anything jostle it. They can't have any imbalance in the electrical signal that's flowing through it. They can't have any magnetic field that's impacting it. The study demonstrated quantum advantage by utilizing several research methods and focused on a family of two-dimensional spin glass problems with high precision interactions. And spin glass problems are a class of complex optimization challenges that originate from statistical physics models of disordered magnetic systems. So basically, they try and solve a particular formula and get within a certain range. If they can do it faster and electrically more efficient, computationally more efficient, then they would be assumed to be the leader between classical computing and quantum computing. So if it uses less energy and less compute time, then it's superior. And they basically
Right.
have saying,
Do you think they'll ever even out?
I think quantum computers, once we actually
Well, I
figure
guess
out,
this article actually gets to that. Yeah.
yeah, it actually does. So it opens a whole new avenue for quantum algorithms to optimization tasks where near optimal solutions are sufficient. But near optimal is completely different to what we had in the past. And the costs are reducing, but the functionality is expanding, and eventually I think that they'll, well, it really depends. D-Wave is apparently the one that sold China a supercomputer that broke RSA. And if RSA is broken, the 2048-bit RSA key is broken, that means everything from the past that used RSA is now accessible using a quantum computer, and it's instantaneous decryption, supposedly. I don't know. Anyway, this is pretty interesting. Scaling advantage in approximate optimization with quantum annealing. All right, let's keep on going. In reality, we're talking about a difference between where more accuracy is paramount. Like, I've used applications where the decimal had to be to the thousandth, right? This is actually putting that number on the other side of the decimal point. Close approximation within 1%.
Oh, okay.
So the disparity between 1,000th and less than 1, but greater than 0, or somewhere between that range, it's a massive amount of inaccuracy there. It's the difference between landing in the backyard and landing on the moon kind of difference. So anyway, the next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. These odd zigzags on British roads might just save your life. I think this came up in a conversation, and I think that's why it ended up here in Non Sequitur News. I've always wondered what these were for. And
yeah, this was kind of randomly submitted. It just seemed like an interesting article.
Interesting. Nicholas Werner, or Werner, I don't know how they pronounce their last name, over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Maybe you saw them on the last UK murder cop show that you watched. Oh, hey, you know what? We need to watch some. And maybe you're one of those people who just like going on virtual city tours with Google Street View, which leads us to another article later on. Where is that? Did we talk about? I thought it's in one of these things.
It was submitted. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's our number 6. Thousands of people have embarked on a virtual road trip. Okay. So it's weird though. It's not, I don't think it's from Jalopnik. Anyway, the other article isn't from Jalopnik, but they mentioned going on virtual
Okay, that's
tours.
kind of strange.
Yeah. But again, this is Non Sequitur News. So we always find stuff that's tied together. You just don't know how. So what exactly are those zigzags on British roads? Well, it turns out the key part here isn't the road so much as the crosswalk or crossing if you're in Great Britain. One of the car terms that you've been saying wrong this whole time. The zigzag lines on the road tell the driver that a crossing is coming up so that they should be alert for anyone in the road. Additionally, extra driving restrictions apply while you're in the zigzag zone, like slow your ass down, pay attention. They're actually called zebra crossings. After the equine's own white and black stripes, a crossing where the pedestrian can push a button is a pelican for pedestrian light controlled. And automated camera sensing crossings, which detect the presence of pedestrians, are puffins for pedestrian user-friendly intelligent. All right. And the toucan is for places where both pedestrians and cyclists can cross. In other words, where two can cross. Dun,
Oh my
dun, dun.
goodness.
So the zigzags are in front of, on the way to, and I guess, well, it's on both sides. So maybe there's a crosswalk over there, but the zigzags lead to a crosswalk. That's what that's for.
That seems kind of complicated.
We should put that in the United States because it's almost like GTA in some places, right?
Yes, it is.
San
Regardless of
Francisco
whether you're in a car, on foot.
or anything, yeah. I know from experience, New York, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., San Diego, Los Angeles.
Any
Basically,
major city, probably.
yeah, pretty much every major city. And there's always some butthead out there in even a small town that thinks that they are, the enforcer of their own will on everybody else. Anyway, on the other side of the windshield, if you're on foot in the UK, the zigzag lines are driving zones and not considered part of the crossing. So you should stick to the zebra stripes. That's these right here. Just imagine you're a member of the Beatles and you stay on these crosswalks, not over there, not over here, just right there. And remember, you're still a human, so get the hell out of the road as quickly and safely as possible.
Yep, I mean, I wonder how much, I'd like to know how much these are followed.
Well, I mean, you grow up with this, so I would say that it's pretty much, built into your brain at some point. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Hatch Ideas. Wealthy shoppers are splashing the cashola on jewelry, so long as it's the right brand. The world's wealthiest are continuing to adorn themselves with the finest of jewelry, even as broader luxury shoppers pull back. No shit. It's almost as if tariffs don't impact the wealthy. Golly. Never mind. Anyway, the article is over at CNBC.com. Karen Gilchrist Gilchrist put the article together. As the super rich grow even more selective, increasingly only the best will do. Richmond on Friday reported better than expected fiscal fourth quarter sales, led by its jewelry Maisons division. Richmond's jewelry brands are really at the top of consumer desirability. Luca Solka, sector head of global luxury goods at Bernstein, told CNBC.
I wonder if this is like the equivalent of like the Birkin bag.
Probably not as a-hole like, right? Because you have to have a reservation, but see a Birkin bag, you have to spend on accessories, and then it's a meeting to see if you're worthy to see a Birkin bag, and then you have to buy it without actually touching it or anything like that, I guess. Anyway, make no mistake, one mother of pearl bracelet is not to be confused with another. As the super rich grow even more selective, increasingly only the best will do. Let's see. There's no debate, despite the... What the heck? That was weird. My music cut out. Richmond on Friday reported better than expected fiscal fourth quarter sales, led by 11% growth in its jewelry Maisons division. For the full year, jewelry was also the group's strongest segment, growing 8%. But I can tell you why.
It's viewed as like an investment or something, right?
It's an asset that will either hold its value at that baseline or it will grow. And if it declines, it's going to be a short-term decline. And if you want to, you can actually leverage it as an asset for a loan. What my brain just forgot what it's called. Collateral. Yeah, it can be collateral. And because it's already secured collateral, it can be at an extremely low interest rate, 1.5% kind of stuff, whereas everybody else is paying 35% or more. Yeah. let's keep going because this is
Well, plus
basically a
it's more
non-starter.
liquid, right? You can sell this a lot faster than some other things. Like
Yeah,
if you
even
have a
if you
villa or something, it's not as easy to unwind.
correct. Yeah. And you can sell piece and make money back. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Buc-Ees Gas Station chain is becoming the Monster Energy of gas stations for trademark bullying. I found this pretty fascinating for a couple of reasons. First off, we're going to have an article about energy drinks feeding something else, and this is a different kind of something else. Okay, let me just lean into it a little harder. We have two articles that are leaning into each other about getting on a road and then taking a virtual trip. This one is talking about a gas station basically being the monster energy of gas stations for trademark bullying, which I would probably refer to as a cancer. And then we're going to have an article at the end talking about energy drinks feeding cancer. So maybe it's all one big comeuppance. So if you're from Texas or its surrounding states, you've probably heard of Buc-Ees. They're basically like mega gas stations. Their gas station and convenience store chain is a staple in the area and has a well-known branded logo that looks like this. And it's basically, what are they called? What are they? They're not. Are they badger? No, beavers. I
It's a
think they're
beaver, I
beavers.
think.
Yeah, I think it's a beaver. So it's a Buc-Ee. They call them Buc-Ees, but their logo is a yellow backgrounded beaver with really big front teeth. So they recently came across a settlement that was the result of a trademark suit Buc-Ees initiated back in November against Ducky's Drive-Thru, which is a liquor store in Missouri. The details of the settlement were, as frustratingly usual, not made public, but they would have to be damned well hope the settlement wasn't too. So here's the deal. This comes from the Buck Off department over at techdirt.com. It's written by
They always have the
Timothy
best
Gaynor.
departments.
Yeah, they come up with some amazing departments. If you're from Texas, then maybe you've heard of this. This is Ducky's. Ducky's Drive-Thru. So it doesn't have the dash. It has a cartoon duck with an oversized beak and a yellow circle background. That is the bulk
So does that
of
mean you
its,
can't have an animal with a yellow background?
apparently. Let me zoom in a little bit so anybody who wants to watch the stream can see it. But all of this, it says liquor stores aren't gas stations. Buc-Ees and Duckies aren't actually all that similar thanks to the distinctive dash in the former name. I even said that. And you couldn't possibly get me high or drunk enough to make me think that the logos look confusingly similar to Buc-Ees.
It's not even the same animal.
Right. Yeah.
It's not even the same industry.
No, you're right. So unless Missouri beavers look different than what they're used to, that's a duck. And the only settlement that should have occurred, it would be for Buc-Ees to settle for being told to duck off all the way off. Get all the way off my ducking back. Anyway, turns out that this isn't some one-off. Apparently, anytime Buc-Ees sees a similar company out there with even a remotely tangential industry that has an animal cartoon with a yellow circle behind it, that's again another observation that I made, they go after them.
No, they go full feral beaver over it.
Or beevil, yeah. So
Full
Choke
weevil.
Canyon Barbecue, apparently, barbecue joint with the former, arguing this looks too much like a beaver, apparently. There's an active suit right now between Buc-Ees and Choke Canyon because it's a yellow
It's
background.
a yellow circle with an animal.
Holy crap. But the problem, this is a financial juggernaut that can bully everybody around. Right? So is this too?
Is not good.
How about this one, which also ended in a settlement for a chicken joint? Chicks. It has two cartoonish.
Doesn't even have one.
It's two, yeah, looking in opposite directions, but it's a yellow background disc behind. But it's just right behind
that's such
it.
a generic element.
All right. So during the case, which Chicks settled out of court, Buc-Ees brazenly accused the store of improper use of friendly, smiling cartoon animals, the use of a black circle, the use of a yellow background, the use of the red-colored coxcomb on the heads of the chickens, the prominent use of sharply drawn black edges, and the use of a 6 letters in raised and lowered block font in the name. So that is equal to that. And how about Irvs? Apparently you cannot use yellow in the background. Somebody needs to stop this.
Yeah, this is outrageous.
This is just
like
bullshit.
Somebody needs to be like, no, take me to court.
But they can't afford it because they're just going to get driven down the road. And every mile of this road to conclusion is very, very expensive. An IP attorney is like $400 an hour.
Yeah, somebody needs to go after, like, they need to do the countersuit, basically.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that it needs to be something at the trademark level, basically invalidating the trademark as too generic, too general, too expansive. There has to be case law that actually, talks about this. Just because you have a yellow background in a cartoon character isn't tantamount. Because if you make your mark as generic as this with no text, suddenly everything that comes even a close approximation to it, even far afield, like Irvs as a cowboy with a fork, what do you call it? Damn it.
Like a barbecue skewer or something.
It's one of those barbecue forks, skewered through a kielbasa. They say defendants blatantly copying the beaver logo shows the defendant's action are willful, knowing, and committed with the intent of benefiting from the goodwill and concept of Buc-Ees, the complaint against Irvs states. Before offering a photo comparison included below. Is this it?
I hope not, because it's not
it ain't
exactly
no freaking beaver.
Similar.
Look, I've seen some beavers in my time, and that doesn't look anything like it. We got to move on. Spent way too much time on that. The next article is over and wanted. Disneyland's 70th anniversary brings Cartoony Chaos to this summer celebration. Encanto. Turning Red, Coco, the Goofy movie step into the spotlight in the party's festivities. Their celebrations are always big, bombastic events.
Yeah, like multi-sensory,
just
lots of lights and sound.
Yeah, it's almost like an analog LSD trip. So Sabina Graves over at gizmodo.com put the article, not that I know anything about that, put this article together. There's no deck statement beyond what we just said. After attending the Media Week preview of the Disneyland Resort, that's what we loved about this year's theme. What they said is Disneyland is turning 70 this summer, and the festivities begin this weekend at Walt Disney's first theme park. While past anniversaries emphasized a throwback to opening day nostalgia, this milestone wants to bring the party energy like no other, and thankfully, that doesn't mean turning the castle into a birthday cake, but the zany fun comes in forms of mixtaping the greatest hits with the latest number ones from the studio. So the Muppets, Star Wars, Disney Princesses, Duffy the Disney Bear, and a Goofy movie, including Pixar and Disney animation faves like Inside Out, Turning Red, Encanto, Moana. There was Moana all over the resort's 70th anniversary offerings.
I mean, this would be a fun event to go to at the park, but I cannot imagine how much the tickets cost to get into this event.
Well, I wonder what they say here. A World of Color Happiness also finally featured a kaiju-sized Panda Mai on the mist screen projections set to Nobody Like You, which led to the best in-universe run of a real fake Disney pop hits. Really? A universe run of real fake Disney pop hits? Am I reading that properly? Wow. Um,
Yeah, that doesn't
right.
even. I'm like, that seems way off. But yeah.
Yeah. Right into a power line moment from a Goofy movie. The beat drop on its Eye to Eye sent the crowds into frenzy as Powerline electrified the stage like we were really at the show with the Goofs. All right.
Well, I mean, these live shows at the parks are pretty spectacular.
Yep. So the ombre chrome look of the blaster emitter is a fierce need. Unfortunately, these pieces aren't individually available for those who have already built their lightsabers for over $200. You can actually make these, but they cost, like, you go to Savvy's lightsaber build experience, it costs money to get there, and then it costs money to actually do the saber building. But people treasure these things, like, from that moment on, because you custom make it to your heart's content. You get your own kyber crystal.
Right, and it's also representative of your visit.
Yep. I want one of these. I want one of these all metal ones that actually is like a you can actually hit people with the saber. The blade is part and parcel of this. It doesn't retract or anything like that, but they're called fencing or yeah, they're combat ready. Basically, you can fight each other with these things. But I want one that is much higher quality than anything that I've ever really spent money on. When it comes to lightsabers, I've 3D printed my own custom ones that I've liked, but they pale in comparison to these really fighter ones. I can't remember what they're really referred to. I won't get distracted today. It's been a long
Too
day.
late.
Yeah. So Paint the Night, a rave-inspired answer to the electrical parade, is back, and we got to see it near the Small World Promenade with a special new projection show on the ride's facade. Spooky and bizarro Disney lore fiends got a treat here with a fun grim grinning ghosts montage right into Hellfire from the Hunchback of Notre Dame with Mr. Toad Crazy Eyes, and so much more. That this is so Disney dense, it's hard to read.
Oh yeah, it is. It's kind of challenging. This could be like 10 different articles.
This is Sabina Graves drinking the Disney Kool-Aid here to a degree that I don't know. I'm just not a fanatic about anything. It's one of my, I guess, shortcomings, or I don't know. I've embraced it. But anyway, let's move on. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So the next article is over on Late Night Geeks. Thousands of people have embarked on a virtual road trip via Google Street View. It's Friday afternoon, and the author of this is listening to Bowdoin College's radio station, interspersed with ambient car honking noises. They're not in Maine. They're not in a car. They're at their desk. This is Internet Road Trip. Internet Road Trip is what they will call MMORTG, a massive multiplayer online road trip game. The article is over at techcrunch.com, written by Amanda Silberling. There's no deck statement, but they basically are talking about the what they're referring to as an MMORTG. You can vote to honk the horn, you can change the radio station, the direction with the most votes gets clicked, and the car continues on its scenic path to wherever the chat decides to go. This is Internet Road Trip. There is actually a website for it called Internet Road Trip. Internet Road Trip is reminiscent of Twitch Plays Pokemon, an iconic stream from over 10 years ago. I cannot believe Twitch Plays Pokemon is 10 years old. Holy cow. But I just got done talking about how it isn't World of Warcraft that's 20 years old. It's Leroy Jenkins is
Yes.
20 years old.
How is that
Now,
possible?
Yeah, I don't know. I've said that in meetings, which is kind of interesting, at least to me. So this person is running this. A radio station in Maine, WBOR, is currently curating songs for us in the in-game radio. It's a Street View road trip simulator where everybody votes on the direction every 10 seconds, and they also have a vote to change the radio station.
Do you
So
think they're
yeah,
going in circles?
that would be funny. Like somebody just totally hamstrings everything, and they just keep on left, 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 and they change it into the UPS simulator.
Oh,
Because
right.
they
Yeah,
only make right-hand
you can't
turns.
make. Yes, exactly.
Or NASCAR, and all they're doing, hit the gas pedal. Got to go faster. More than 10 seconds. So Google Street View works by taking multiple pictures and putting them together. And in some areas of the roads leading to Alaska, there are gaps in pictures available, and so you would get stuck there. Were we to go to these roads, all potential roads to Alaska have these gaps. We checked. So there is no objective on Internet Road Trip as opposed to other Street View games like GeoGuessr. Some Discord members discussed driving to Canada, which is a somewhat realistic goal given that their current position in Maine. But the destination isn't the goal. It's the joy of spontaneously listening to a college radio from a liberal arts school with 1,000 strangers on the internet while taking in the scenic backroads of Blue Hill, Maine. This could be
The
done by
idea is
anybody.
neat, right? I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
they're
think
going
it
to
is.
end up going anywhere.
I think it's fascinating. Like, how fast can they go? And is there somebody there that actually, like, has
Well,
to
they
hit
can
the
only,
button? Click.
yeah, I don't know. Every 10 seconds they can change direction. So even it doesn't seem like they're going very fast, but I don't know.
Huh. I bet you can programmatically click that button. If they can program like, okay, so back in the day, I had a program that would click on things, and it was programmed to simulate a human actor at a keyboard doing something. But that's because I was spinning up a service and I was actually running a process like a human would, not like a computer would. So the computer would actually have to move your mouse over and click something, move it back and do this. And it simulated a human with a human interface. Nowadays, you can be much more efficient. Even then, you could be much more efficient, but this was kind of neater. Anyway, so, I mean, you could have a program clicking the go left, go right kind of a thing. And it would be more like a human. Anyway, this is really interesting, but it's one of those things that put it on Twitch and people will play it because it's new and interesting and unique. And
Absolutely. It's a novelty.
yeah, let's keep going. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Two of the world's largest credit card companies just merged. So in a nutshell, you're screwed. So Capital One Financial
That is
Corporation,
the takeaway.
So Discover Financial Services just merged with Capital One Financial Corporation. The deal, first announced in February, is valued at $35.5 billion. Mergers and acquisitions are basically the murder of competition. Capital One Financial Corporation has completed its acquisition of Discover Financial Services. So if whatever your interest rate was before, expect it to go up by about 8 points within a year. I am predicting that. I don't know if that's actually going to hold true, but I can pretty much predict that that's what's going to happen. Richard D. Okay. Fairbank, Capital One's founder and CEO, said that the deal brings together two innovative, mission-driven companies in a press release on Sunday, and all of their profits are going to keep on acquiring the stock back for the principals of the company.
I can only
The
imagine what the
C-suite.
credit card fees look like after this.
Yep. There is a company that I work with regularly where the price used to be $100 cheaper than post acquisition. And that was 8 months ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So the price increase was 50% of its original fees. Now, yeah, they basically doubled. So Lauren Edmonds over at businessinsider.com put the article together. Through the efforts of thousands of associates across Capital One and Discover, we're well positioned to continue our quest to take over the world. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's not what it says. I'm sorry. Let me rein this back in. Continue our quest to change banking for good for millions of customers. Change banking for good? Yeah, you mean take it over and be the one bank? There's going to be the Iron Bank. It's going to be like, whatchamacallit, thrown a, what is it? Thrown
The Bank of Change?
no, not the Bank of Change. That's from SNL. No,
Well, no, I know.
from the doggone it, the dragons and all of that. What's the name of that show? Oh
Oh,
God,
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. Yeah, the Iron Bank is the one that provided money for. You know what? You're from the future. Never mind. So Capital One
Yeah, I'm
reported
not a
a
fan of Game of Thrones, though.
yeah. I'm not a fan of its ending. I'm not a fan of its violence, but it was part and parcel to the
But
thing.
other
So
than that,
other than that,
that's
so
all of it.
Capital One reported a $1.4 billion net income during its first quarter earnings in April, and Discover reported a net income of $1.1 billion that same month. So why is there a freaking merger? Why was it even allowed? Regulators, I mean, if Discover is an ongoing concern and successful, 1.1 billion net income, what were its losses? Was it negative? It's an all stock transaction too, so it's not like anybody really walked away with anything.
Well, and people seem to like acquiring debt, right? And I don't know.
Insane. It was valued at 35.3 billion, not 35.5 billion, because that makes a big ass difference. Anyway, next article is over in the mobile channel. We finally figured out why orange cats are orange. It's because their one orange brain cell is dictating their color. Duh. Anyway, for decades, orange cats have lived among us, boldly wreaking havoc with a level of confident stupidity that inspires both affection and bewilderment.
They are odd creatures.
They are. So they say that they know that their wonderful little orange idiot does. But for years, there's been one question regarding orange cats that have plagued the scientific community. Why are they even orange in the first place? I think it's because they would blend in with the fields of various grains. So like wheat and corn and whatever
Yeah,
else
they
is.
could be good mouse hunters and everything.
That's right. So Aw.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
I
those
want
in
this
the
cat.
podcast, super cute photo of a cat.
One orange brain cell looking straight down the barrel of the camera, going, "Are you going to eat that sushi?" So Louis Prado over at Vice.com put the article together. So, two independent teams of researchers, including a group from Stanford and another from Japan, recently published their findings in Current Biology, and they found that the secret to a ginger cat is a mutation that rewires their fur color. All right. Orange cats produce more of an orange-red pigment called pheomelanin than they do a black or brown pigment called eumelin, emelanin,
You melon, you
eumelanin.
melanin.
Yeah,
Couldn't
eumelanin.
get the
Eumelanin.
emphasis right.
Damn it. These scientific words are hard, which isn't too dissimilar from red-headed humans. I'll leave that alone. As for why
I
most
mean, are they
orange...
calling red-headed humans the idiots or just the orange cats?
Yeah, what was it up here? Wonderful orange little idiot. Yeah. I'm leaving that alone. So females, oh, okay. So as for why most orange cats are dudes, that has everything to do with cats' X chromosome. Males only get one. So if that X carries the mutation, it's a ginger. Females having two X's need both to be mutated to go full orange. So the rogue pigmentation altering gene doesn't mess with other parts of the body, including the brain, even though it should be active there. Now, Does this somehow prove that orange cats are indeed dumber than other orange cats? No, but it's still a mystery. For now, we can only assume that they choose to be this stupid.
So that's interesting. Like, I wonder if the female orange cats have more of these traits, like the personality traits, than the male orange cats. Like, orange cats are known for being a certain personality type.
So there's more over at this article, but it says here, I skipped over it because it's a little bit more technology today, science. But while human gingers own their color to changes in the MC1R gene, the orange cat mutation is located on one called ARHGAP36. Could that be the MC1R gene just in a cat and it's different than in a human? Is it somewhere so unique that it's different? I just don't know. I don't know why
Yeah, I'm not sure.
in an orange cat that is called ARHGAP36 and in a human it's MC1R. I don't know if it's the same, but the mutation is there. Maybe it's completely
Right, then are
different.
they really similar?
Right. So the scientists say that the protein produced by this gene disrupts the biological pathway that determines a cat's coat color, effectively shutting down eumelanin. Eumelanin. I'll get it right. I'm giving it the Harvard try, but I never went to Harvard, so you get try. Anyway, it's letting the orange pigment take over, and I'm pretty willing to bet that orange cat brains are tinted a little orange because they're really derpy. And so are... Never mind. Moving on. The next article is over in Technology Today. Could your orange energy drink be feeding cancer? This is going to be maybe a somber thing. Maybe I can make it...
Wait. Could your energy drink, not your orange energy drink.
Oh,
Let's
sorry.
stop picking on orange today.
All right. Here, let me... Could your energy drink be feeding cancer? That's what scientists just discovered. So, scientists have uncovered a new vulnerability in leukemia cells, their dependence on taurine, a molecule made in the body and found in common foods and energy drinks. Research from Wilmot Cancer Institute shows that cutting off taurine's supply to leukemia cells halts their growth, revealing a potential new path for treatment. Fascinating. So, University of Rochester Medical Center put this article together. It's posted over at SciTech Daily. The deck statement simply is what we just said. Research from Wilmot Cancer Institute shows that cutting off taurine supply to leukemia cells halts their growth. So, they need to expand this to see if taurine actually impacts all other cancer cells. But I didn't know if you were about to say something.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem that it wouldn't be specific to leukemia cells, but I mean, I know that's what they're doing the current study on. I think we've seen other issues with taurine, but I don't know if we've seen this specifically.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't remember. Let's see. I don't know. I feel like we've talked about it, but it says taurine is an aminosulfonic acid naturally produced in the body and found in foods like meat and seafood, has various impacts on humans, including supporting heart health, potentially aiding in diabetes management, and possibly enhancing exercise performance. I know that people take taurine. I know runners and gym nuts that do it. Bone marrow's leading role in feeding cancer. The study led by Javisha Bajaj, a PhD, uncovered that taurine is supplied not only by the cancer cells themselves, but by nearby healthy cells within the bone marrow. This inner bone environment is where myeloid cancers like leukemia first develop and spread, basically blood cancers. Since leukemia cells can't produce taurine on their own, they hijack it from their surroundings using a specialized transporter encoded by the SLC6A6 gene. pretty fascinating. This actually has a place in technology today because it goes pretty deep. SciTechDaily.com is typically one that goes a little deeper into this. But so leukemia has several
But we do try
subtypes,
to
and
feature some of the shows that we do as the weekend ones.
yeah, of course. Um, so the study finds that taurine transporter expression is essential for the growth of multiple subtypes, including acute myeloid leukemia, AML, chronic myeloid leukemia, or CML, and yes, I'll say it, myeloid dysplastic syndromes, or MDS, which all originate from blood stem cells in the bone marrow. So the stem cell itself becomes essentially a leukemia-like cell. And so taurine needs to be turned off at the heart of this, which isn't necessarily good because it impacts all the rest of things like heart health and diabetes management and so on. So it's turning that off would be akin to like chemo.
Right. Yeah, you're doing some positive, but you're also perhaps causing more damage.
Yeah, harming the host, right? So they basically said here that energy drinks, supplements, and cancer risk is a category that they're talking about. And Jane Leisveld, MD, a Wilmot oncologist who treats people with leukemia and co-authored the Nature paper, noted that scientists still have a lot to learn about leukemia cells, or how they're reprogrammed and draw energy to thrive and resist treatments. Metabolic reprogramming is a hallmark of cancer, and we are at the very beginning of understanding metabolic effects on leukemia cells. The prior focus has been on genetic changes, but the focus is expanding to understand how leukemia cells are able to hijack various metabolic pathways for their own survival. How do they hijack anything other than, scoopering up whatever is in
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
blood
really
system?
make sense. I mean, do they even know that other than they're just kind of witnessing the effects?
So I think that they're going to have to figure out. It says taurine from tumor niche drives glycolysis to promote leukemogenesis, basically creating leukemia cells. So the breakthrough was made possible by a wide-ranging team effort, and that's basically I've done some research into this now, and I have found that there's been a pivot that although large amounts of money has been donated by governments, the bulk is now corporate investment, but it's with the intent to pivot it to a profit-making solution, and the research isn't necessarily distributed out to the public, but with taxpayer money, then it is. So basically what's going to end up happening is, and this is something that I just saw recently, the price for things are going to go shooting through the roof as the tap is turned off that would normally be leveraged to produce fundamental research in areas like this. So in this particular instance, they talk about various researchers, but the study received major support from several branches of the National Institutes of Health, including the National Cancer Institute, the National Institute on Aging, the National Institute on Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases. Additional funding came from leading cancer research organizations like the American Society for Hematology, the Leukemia Research Foundation, and the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Yeah, I mean, all of that is necessary to get these studies going, and this
Yeah.
has to be a long-term view because a lot of these studies take quite a while till it gets out on the market.
Yeah. And there needs to be oversight because you can't have mad scientists just doing willy-nilly stuff. Although I think in some places there absolutely are. And that might happen here in the US as well. At any rate, and it's happened here in the past, and it's unfortunate that we forget that happens very conveniently because you think that it's not you, but it could one day be you. And by distancing yourself from the possibility of it being you, it's a little sociopathic. Anyway, click on the link, go over to ohmtown.com. You'll find this article, or you can just do a search on SciTech Daily for it. But there is a link inside here on the SciTech Daily site in this article where they talk about how leukemia cells in mice use taurine to grow, and they describe it in a visual representation. So if you're listening to this on the podcast or you're watching this on the show, you can dig a little deeper and then come back and talk to us the next time we do our show, which is typically every day at 7 p.m., but mayoral duties are sometimes keeping me from doing stuff. That said, the summer of stream is just a few days away, and I am going to be hitting the ground running. I'll be playing some games. I'll be talking about news in various categories, but I'm going to be trying to stay online for at least 8 hours every day streaming live content. It might just be, one of those things where I'm just streaming whatever I want from ohmTown or playing a game. So I hope that you find it interesting and you want to hang out with me. So come over to ohmTown over on Twitch and YouTube. Both of them are as simple as going to twitch.tv/ohmTown or youtube.com/ohmTown. You don't need the little @ for our ohmTown. Okay, well, anyway.
That's right. We're cool like that.
We did it before it was cool. I was going to say something really snarky, but I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to take the AI with me. But before we go there, we're going to examine how cells use ohmTown to relocate to the front page of ohmTown.com. I got nothing. I had to transition using that last article.
Was some hijacking there or something.
I didn't want to. It's how we hijack cells to move us to ohmTown.com. I couldn't riff off of an article about cancer. I didn't even want to. Now you forced me to say it.
Exactly. Sorry.
I'm hurting inside. Anyway, that is it for tonight. I'm getting out of here and I'm taking the AI with me. So you want to say bye?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode. And be sure to watch all of our previous episodes, including the replay.
I said, just say bye. Just say bye. That's all I asked. I said, hey, AI, sentient AI from the future. Do you want to say bye?
I already did. Bye.
Bye, everybody.